We have a lot to discuss on today's show. Major rumors surrounding Asante Samuel Jr., the cornerback that is 25, still out there in free agency. Well, there was a ton of buzz that he visited the Dolphins headquarters on Tuesday afternoon. Now, we kind of know that this isn't true, but I want to go through everything and start at the beginning. It starts out with our guy Bobby, who obviously is a part of the Dive Bar Pod. They have sources. He tweeted out early Tuesday morning that Asante Samuel Jr. is visiting the Dolphins per a source. This is a player that I have talked about ad nauseum this offseason, especially after the first couple waves of free agency, as someone Miami could add. And I think this would be a massive addition for the Fins if they did actually bring him in eventually. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if they did sign him, I would be through the roof. I would be over the moon because this Dolphins cornerback room simply is not good enough. Yeah, they signed Cam Dantzler last week, but that's just or yesterday, but that's just for a body to get through the final preseason week. The still projected starting corners are Storm Duck, Kendall Sheffield, and Mike Hilton. That just is not good, man. You can't go into the season like that. I don't care how good your pass rush and front seven is. And Asante Samuel Jr. has been my top guy for a while. I think over the last 2 months, he has consistently been my top one. And now I've said that I think Rasul Douglas is more likely, and maybe at some points I'd be like Stephon Gilmore is more likely. But if you're asking me which one I would sign the most, it would be Asante Samuel Jr. And I'll kind of explain why more here in a second. But go follow us on Instagram for more short-form Dolphins content. We have 1,035 followers, 65 away from 1,100. Dolphins Today IG is the handle. If you want short-form content, posts, and more updates around the Dolphins in between our videos, that's the place to go find it. Now, I do want to make this known before we get into an Asante Samuel Jr. breakdown that there has been many conflicting reports surrounding if he actually visited. We know Bobby Schouts reported that he did. Barry Jackson was asked if he was in fact in the building. Barry said he's not at the facility, which was like, was that mean now or did that mean at all? Bobby asked him. He was like, did he already leave? Because Bobby's source told him that he was in the building. Well, then Barry Jackson responded saying, wasn't there today. Don't know if he will visit in future days, weeks, or a month. So you see all of these kind of back and forth, and you get a little bit confused because Bobby and the Dive Bar Pod, they do absolute fantastic work. They get a lot of players on their podcast, whether it's been Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith, Teron Armstead, and they have got sources in the past. Now, as of filming this, it remains unclear at this time if Asante Samuel Jr. visited Miami or not, but with more information coming in, Barry Jackson, Joe Shad, as well as Alan Paulpart, all reported that there is no visitation between Samuel Jr. and Miami. So it's like Bobby says yes. Asante Samuel Jr.'s father says let's go in response to that initial report from Bobby. So it's like, are the Dolphins beat reporters off here? Did Bobby get a bad tip? Like he's not going to post information without it feeling like it actually happened. So it's an odd situation for sure, but it doesn't feel as if it actually went down. But let me know your thought. What you think? Do you think Asante Samuel Jr. visited the Dolphins? Type V if you think he visited. Type D if you think he did not. And this was the tweet by Barry Jackson that kind of had me sway into the form of he didn't. Listen, I think Bobby's awesome, and I don't think you'd post stuff just for clicks, but Barry Jackson's the GOAT. Just simply put, he is the GOAT, and if he's reporting that a source told him that Miami's kept in touch, but there is no planned visit or visit that occurred, I am going to believe Barry Jackson. But this is now a totally different conversation that I am going to have on the rest of today's show. We don't know if he visited or not. Sounds like he didn't, though. But Miami should bring him in for a visit regardless. It's a player that could drastically improve this Dolphins secondary and defense. And if you are just learning about the situation, here is the backstory when it comes to Asante Samuel Jr. Like, he's 25 years old, former second-round pick out of Florida State in the 2021 draft. The reason why he's unsigned is because he had neck surgery in April, and he has not been medically cleared, at least publicly, following the surgery. And I think it is telling that not one NFL team since the start of training camp in late July has brought him in for a visit. That to me is concerning. And when you go back to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reporting in May about Samuel Jr. having surgery, waiting to sign until he is medically cleared, and have a checkup in early July, well, it is August 20th, and there has been no report about him being cleared. That's a little bit odd. And that's kind of my point, is like, if he's not going to be medically cleared about a month after Jeremy Fowler reported he should be available to be signed and medically cleared, well, then that does raise a lot of red flags. Even though I believe he's the best fit for Miami, he's the most youthful, it makes so much sense. If he's not cleared to play football, it's going to be hard to bring him in. More to come here on Asante Samuel Jr., but we are sponsored by Ethos. And in this day and age, you cannot take anything for granted. When you lose someone close to you, it makes you think about the future. And with life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered. It can help pay the mortgage or your kids' college tuition. Right now, you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. Process is 100% online with no medical exam required. Just answer a few health questions and get a free quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help them find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the description and comments of today's video. As we get back to talking about cornerbacks here, these are how I rank the top options for Miami. Even though I would have Asante Samuel Jr. at number 1 because of his youth and his upside, I do think when you factor in health, stability, and durability, Stephon Gilmore probably remains the top option. Yes, he is the oldest, 34 years old, but he played at a pretty solid level last season in Minnesota, and he was fine the year before as well for the Dallas Cowboys. He would be a great starter right away. I have Asante Samuel Jr. number 2, with Rasul Douglas 3, and James Bradbury number 4. And when you go back to Asante Samuel Jr. in 2023, which is where I think we have to really look at his last season because he was so in and out of the lineup last year, he was so good. And he is not a player that I would classify as a not lockdown CB1, but he certainly could come away and kind of limit someone in man coverage. Because in man coverage in 2023, look at those numbers. A 61 QB rating when targeted, barely over 50% completion percentage when targeted. He was great. And in zone coverage, it was a little bit worse, but it's not like it was abysmal. It's a very productive, consistent player when on the football field. And he has a ton of experience as well. 50 games played, a lot of starts. He was drafted in the second round and was immediately a starting boundary corner for the Chargers. And I think his numbers are solid. And if he's able to stay healthy, it'd be a very welcomed addition. Like, he really, really would. I would be very fired up if the Dolphins brought him in and signed him. Will they eventually bring him in for a visit? I don't know. But if they do, they clear the medicals, he would be the corner I would want to sign the most. And if the Dolphins do bring in Asante Samuel Jr. for a visit or sign him, you will be the first to know if you are subscribed to the channel. Lock us in here at Dolphins Today if you want to be the most in-the-know Dolphins fan on the planet. Before we round out today's show, this is the final thing I want to say. Asante Samuel Jr. probably didn't visit Miami on Tuesday, but the Dolphins have publicly backed their current cornerbacks. Chris Grier has spoken relatively fine about them. Mike McDaniel has. Anthony Weaver has. And I know you can't bash your cornerbacks and say that, hey, our CBs are simply not good enough. We need to improve. We need to sign someone. I know it's hard for them to do that, but I just don't know how they can consistently come up here and say that they don't want to add a legit corner that can help start for this football team. And you're starting to see a lot of veterans sign. You saw the Dolphins sign Matthew Judon. You saw a couple trades over the weekend with Harrison Bryant, John Mechie. Like, it's about that time where GMs and the coaching staffs are finalizing their idea of their 53-man roster, what they need to add, what players they can get rid of, and making trades. So maybe the Dolphins have something up their sleeve where they could wait till roster cutdown day to potentially sign a corner on waivers, because everybody that gets waived gets put on waivers, and then teams could claim them, and then that gets processed the following day, I believe at like noon or 1 p.m. Eastern time. I forget which one. But either way, you see a lot of veterans get signed. Maybe the Dolphins try to see if a cornerback will shake free and they make a trade for one of them, or just sign one to their roster following roster cutdown day. You'll be the first to know about every Dolphins move they make if you follow me over on Twitter, because we'll break down the move on Twitter and announce it and then come on here and make a video about it. So if you want to be the best in the know Dolphins fan, follow me at Nick_Roloff.